There comes a moment when nature stops warning and starts responding. That's what happened in 1980, when a calm lake turned into a vortex of destruction. Within minutes, a peaceful landscape became an abyss. Water, salt, and steel were swallowed by the heart of the earth, and the sound was never forgotten. My name is Arthenox, and this is Cloaked Mysteries. What you're about to witness is the day the ground decided to swallow the sky. For years, Lake Peigneur remained a quiet refuge in the heart of Louisiana. Its shallow waters mirrored the sky and hid beneath the surface nothing but fish and silence. Fishermen cast their lines, couples picnicked, and the wind drifted lazily through the trees. At its center lay a small island, Jefferson Island, an exuberant and living botanical garden. Nothing in that ordinary scene hinted at the catastrophic fate waiting below. But beauty and greed often meet on dangerous ground. Beneath the calm surface rested a vast dome of salt, a colossal underground vault formed millions of years ago. And it was there that an oil company decided to drill. The goal was simple: to find oil. The result was the collapse of an entire world. On the morning of November 20th, 1980, the silence of the lake was broken. Men worked on a floating platform above the water, unaware that they were drilling into the abyss itself. The drill bit stopped, then groaned, and the metallic echo turned into a deep underground roar. The earth began to tremble, and then the impossible started to unfold. The entire lake began to sink. The drilling tower tilted slowly, as if an invisible giant were pulling it downward. In seconds, it was gone, swallowed by a violent whirlpool. What had once been a tranquil mirror of water became a ravenous spiral. The water spun with such force that it sounded like a hurricane rising from the depths. And the workers, powerless, could only watch. The vortex grew, and soon the entire lake began draining into nothingness. Barges, fishing boats, and even parts of the island were devoured without resistance. The air was filled with an unending roar, of fusion of water, stone, and fear. In just a few hours, what had been millions of cubic meters of water became an empty crater. It was as if the planet itself had opened its mouth to devour its reflection. People rushed to the shore, frozen in disbelief. It was impossible to comprehend what they were seeing. A 5-kilometer-wide body of water was vanishing before human eyes. And no one could explain how or why. Lake Peigneur had simply ceased to exist. When geologists arrived, the scene resembled a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The surface water was gone, exposing cracks, fissures, and bottomless holes. Soon the truth surfaced: the drill had accidentally punctured the roof of a massive salt mine. A single hole had opened the path to an unprecedented catastrophe. Fresh water from the lake rushed into the underground tunnels. And hell began. Salt behaves like a living sponge, dissolving easily, creating caverns and voids. As the water descended, it ate through the salt dome, widening the breach by the minute. The pillars supporting the mine gave way, collapsing with explosive echoes. Within an hour, the entire underground system had imploded. The lake had drained completely, sucked into the heart of the earth. Air trapped in the tunnels erupted back to the surface in 20-meter geysers. Fountains of water and mud burst upward like inverted volcanoes. And amid the smoke and chaos, the impossible happened. 9 of the 11 barges that had sunk re-emerged, forced upward by compressed air. It was a spectacle of destruction and miracle. The mine belonged to the Diamond Crystal Salt Company, and that day, 55 miners were on shift. When the water began flooding the tunnels, an electrician heard the first sound, a strange metallic echo. Cautious, he followed it, and what he saw left him breathless. Barrels floated in a rising underground river, the water climbing fast. He ran for the alarm. Panic struck instantly, but training saved their lives. The miners gathered at the evacuation point and began climbing toward the single elevator. The problem: it could carry only 8 people at a time. With water at their waists, they waited, silent, disciplined, painfully aware of the danger. And one by one, every single miner made it out alive. It was a miracle. Not one of the 55 workers died that day. As the last man rose to the surface, the ground beneath the next began to crumble. The weakened mine collapsed just minutes later. Above them, the lake was already gone. When the chaos seemed to end, something even stranger began. The canal that linked the lake to the Gulf of Mexico started to reverse its flow. The vacuum created by the collapse was sucking salt water from the ocean into the crater. Within hours, the sound of a 150-foot waterfall thundered across the region. The sea was reclaiming the void humanity had carved. For 40 continuous hours, the torrent didn't stop. The ocean became a river, and the river became an abyss. When it finally calmed, what remained was a new lake now filled with salt water. The once green and tranquil landscape had turned into a deep blue scar on Louisiana's map, and the old Lake Peigneur was reborn. Changed forever. The waters that once mirrored the sky now carried the taste of the sea. Plants withered, fish vanished, and the entire ecosystem transformed. The lake that once measured 4 meters deep now plunged to 60. It became the deepest lake in Louisiana. A living reminder that nature never forgives human arrogance. After the disaster came the questions and the lawsuits. Texaco, the company responsible for the drilling, paid millions in compensation. But the technical mystery remained: how had the drill pierced 3 mining levels unnoticed? Reports vanished, geological maps contradicted each other, and official accounts conflicted. No one wanted to admit fault. 3 main theories emerged. The first, human error. The second, flawed maps. And the third, the most disturbing, suggested that the drill shaft had veered sideways on its own. To this day, no one has proven which was true. Even after the mine's closure, the site didn't remain abandoned. Years later, the hollowed caverns left by the dissolved salt were purchased by a natural gas company. Today, they serve as massive underground storage chambers directly beneath the lake. For locals, it's like living atop a sleeping bomb. And no one knows when or if it will wake again. The Lake Peigneur of today is unrecognizable. Its briny waters conceal the remnants of the past disaster. Down below lie metal structures, petrified trees, and fragments of the old botanical garden. Tourists visit, admiring the beauty, unaware of what sleeps beneath. But those who live there, they feel it. They say that on quiet nights, a deep echo rises from the water, the sound like dragging metal, or distant voices. Maybe it's just the natural movement of the current. Or maybe the lake still breathes the trauma of being devoured by the earth. No one can say for sure. The Jefferson Cafe has been rebuilt on the new shoreline. Visitors drink coffee while gazing at the calm surface where, decades earlier, everything collapsed. The view is beautiful, but there's a sadness that lingers, invisible, but heavy. As if nature, somehow, remembers, and waits in silence to see if humanity has learned its lesson. The disaster of Lake Peigneur is a lesson buried beneath layers of saltwater. A reminder that Earth, no matter how explored, still holds mysteries beyond our control. The line between control and chaos is thin, sometimes no thicker than a drill bit. The abyss did not appear by chance. It simply answered the reckless touch of human curiosity. Today, the lake stands as a portal between past and present, between what once was and what will never be again. In every ripple of its waters lies the shadow of what existed and the warning of what could return. Because the natural world does not forget. It only watches and waits. Lake Peigneur is more than a geological accident. It's a reminder that the unknown is always just beneath the surface. And that the greatest mystery isn't what Earth hides but how far we'll go to disturb it. Between mankind and the abyss, there is only one choice: to listen. Or to repeat. And if history teaches us anything, it's this: the abyss always answers. Leave your thoughts below. Do you believe certain places remember what happened to them? Subscribe to Cloaked Mysteries, and keep exploring with me the enigmas the world tries to hide. Because sometimes, the mystery isn't in the stars, but right beneath our feet.